Bum 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 ba-dum bum 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 ba-da-da-dum bum bum ba-dum ba-ba-dum dun 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 bum 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 ba-dum bum 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 ba-da-da-dum bum bum ba-dum ba-da-dum dun 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 da dun da da dum ba da dun 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 da da dum ba da dun 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 da dun da da dum ba da dun 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 dun. Hello, my friends. You can hear me. That's great. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. As usual, every Monday at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Joette Calabrese. And every Monday, this is exactly what we do. We meet and we talk about homeopathy. And it's for you to learn, for us to share, for you to join the community. And I must add, for all of you who are mighties to stay tight together. For those of you who are not mighties or who don't know me, again, my name is Joette Calabrese, and I already said that part. So for those who do know me, welcome, my friends. It's wonderful to see you all. I see you all from Arizona, Kristen and Patsy and Antoinette, one of my favorite names, Antoinette, Christine Martin, and Henry from PA. Oh no, here it is. Harry from PA. I need to clean these glasses. Oh, for goodness sakes. That could make all the difference in the world, couldn't it? And someone from Houston, I think it says Till, and Heather from St. Louis. And those are all my friends from Mighty Members. Now let's look at my friends from Facebook Live. Sherry from Eastern North Carolina and Ajax, Ontario. You know, I'm going up to Canada this summer. I'm looking forward to seeing. I don't know Ajax. I mean, I know where Ajax is, sort of, but I've got to. I think I need to make a point of driving through there. Hello from Fort Wayne, Indiana, says Rosa. And Norm from Storm and Norman from Keene. Hi, everyone. It's wonderful to see all of you. Thank you for joining me. And tonight, we are going to talk about what I've just written about on my blog, but I'm going to extend it a little bit further because I actually want to ask you what you use. You folks, especially those in the Mighty Member Group, are really great about what you're using, and you like sharing. And so I'm going to tell you what I have used because I've had allergies, and especially I had them as a child, and then they went away for a while, and then they came back again, and then Florida's kind of hit me a few times in the last few years since I moved to Florida. Now they're really very much under control, to say the least. And so I'll tell you what I use, and I will also tell you my mainstay homeopathic medicine that I think can make all the difference in the world. And then, in addition to that, we're going to talk about a combination medicine by boron, bois. And as they say, I believe, as they say in France, my French accent is really primitive. Um, and I want to remind you, my friends, when I talk about any of the homeopathic manufacturing pharmacies, I do not get kickbacks. I hope you understand that. I am a real stickler about that. I have no affiliate programs with them. Instead, when it comes to boron, Bois, I I ask them, instead of giving me a kickback, they instead give you a discount if you go to their site and purchase from them. And then at the end, at the shopping cart, you just put my name in, my first name, Joette, Joette, and you get a discount. That's the way I like to roll. And I'm not looking for accolades here, but I've been so turned off. I'm going off on a little tangent if you don't mind. I'm so turned off by the idea that medical doctors get payments for using certain drugs, for prescribing certain drugs, for suggesting certain tests, for utilizing certain methods. And it's not just medical doctors, it's also veterinarians. I'm tired of the whole shtick. And I think that what has happened is that is one of the many reasons why our medical paradigm is in trouble, why people don't trust it any longer, and why we're not willing to outsource our healthcare. We're not willing to outsource our intelligence. We have decided that it is our job. It is up to us. And as you see my painting back here of Joan of Arc, she said, I love this quote. She said, I'm not afraid. I was born to do this. And so she got on her steed and headed in. And so, my friends, I want you to do the same. I want you to not outsource. I want you to take this on seriously and learn how to do this yourself. Decide that you are going to be the decision maker. And if you're suffering and you're not sure what to do, that's why you join groups. That's why you're a mighty, right, my friends in Joette's Mighty members, and that's why others join the Gateway to Homeopathy, and others take my courses, and others hang out on my blog and ask questions and listen to what everybody else and read what everybody else has said. And then the ultimate is to go to my academy, my year-long study of academy. So that's my focus. I want to get this information out to the world, and you are helping me do that. And so I believe that's the way to do it, is to not cheat people and to not kind of go around the back door and get a little payment for having told you to use this or that. Because if that were so, if I were getting paid to tell someone to use a particular homeopathic medicine, especially in my casework, I might be inclined to tell them to take 10 homeopathic medicines, because then I'd get paid on 10 remedies. That is in its face a deplorable act. So unacceptable. We're not going there. So instead, I want you to learn how to do this yourself. So I am going to do this, though. I am going to tell you that I want you to educate yourself. And that is what I sell, but I'm outright, forthright. And here I am. I think everyone should own my Materia Medica, and you can get this on my site, joettecalabrese.com. And because I'm going to be reading from this tonight, in fact, we did a whole couple years of this, right? For those of you who've been with me for a long time, you know we studied every one of these medicines. And tonight I'm going to teach you about a medicine that you may or may not know. For those of you who have been studying homeopathy for a while, you know this medicine. But for those of you who are new, I want you to think about this medicine. It doesn't mean it's the only one you take, and it may not even be that you take it at all. But I use this medicine from time to time, and it is, if you're so inclined and you have allergies or someone in your family has them, I urge you strongly to not just use what I tell you here, but to consider going to Joette's Learning Center on my blog and look at my course titled Allergic. You needn't do that, but should you be so inclined to move forward, then by all means, that's where I would urge you to go. But so the medicine we're going to talk about tonight, plus a couple of others, because I want you to tell me what you're taking, what you're using homeopathically. I don't want to know the allopathic stuff. That's the stuff we're trying to get rid of. We are actually trying to become inclusive with homeopathy. Okay, so think about it for a minute while I'm telling you this, and then you can hop right in. We can have a discussion. All right. So the medicine is Calcarea carbonica. Calcarea carbonica, sometimes known as calc carb for short. Calcarea carbonicum, it's actually made from the lining, the inside of an oyster shell. And then it's pulverized and it is broken down with a mortar and pestle. And this is all done by homeopathic manufacturing pharmacies who are regulated, fortunately or unfortunately, by the FDA and many other pharmaceutical bodies throughout the world, and etc. And when it's broken down, then it is now diluted, it's potentized and made into a homeopathic medicine by making it into a 30th potency. So it's calc carb 30C, or a 200th potency, and then it's calc carb 200C. And so I'm going to read from my Materia Medica so that you know what my source is. I said, this is such an all encompassing medicine that what I write here will not do it the justice it deserves. Now, what I mean by that is this is an excellent medicine for someone who has allergies. It's not an SOS, meaning it's not used at the moment of the suffering. It's used as the baseline for someone who has allergies in general. And then I also go on to say this is a remedy to be thought of when a person is prone to frequent colds as well as allergies. And in other words, whenever the immune system is compromised. In that regard, we don't take this as oh, gee, I want to build up my immune system. No, no. These are not supplements. They're not vitamins. That's not what this is at all. These are medicines. So we only use them when this has happened. It is already a concern, all right? It should be noted. It is often a slow acting remedy. That's its reputation. However, I must say that sometimes I see it working rather quickly and requires sometimes many months of use of calc carb. It is a principal choice also for weight gain in certain people who fit the remedy description. Now, so for those people often come to me and say, not often, but I've heard it said, I took calc carb because I wanted to build my immune system. That's the problem. And I gained weight. No kidding. Because you didn't need the medicine. It's not to build your immune system. It's to correct an immune system that is off. That is off. Okay. There is a pathology. Hence, calc carb is needed. Not, I don't want there to be a pathology someday. Hence, I'm going to take it as a prophylactic. That's not the way we use this. So, indeed, if we use a homeopathic medicine that is superfluous, in other words, it wasn't needed in the first place because it wasn't called for, then indeed someone could start gaining weight. And so that is an indication that there is a poor decision in using that medicine. Okay, there's another section I want to read here. I also want to say that I find that this can also be for people who are muddle-headed. And I love that term. If you don't know the Muddle-Headed Wombat, the book, the Muddle-Headed Wombat, and the series of books around it, I'll go off on a little tiny tangent here. It's a child's book I read to my children. And the reason I chose that book is because it's from the 1930s, 1940s. And I did not read books. Generally speaking, I did not read books that were much younger than that. I chose my books that I read to my children and allowed them to read when we were homeschooling them from the 1940s, because once we get to the 50s, not so bad. The 60s, okay, we're going downhill, and the cultural problem begins. So I just want to mention that for anyone who has children or grandchildren, the muddle-headed wombat. All right, and then I also want to say all of the above characteristics are valuable, I'm saying, but one of the most fruitful uses of this medicine, calc carb or calcarea carbonicum, is for anyone with a lowered immune system prone to allergic reactions, chemical sensitivities. That was my problem. It no longer is. Could not have imagined 40 years ago that I could have gotten past chemical sensitivities, but indeed I have. And colds and flus, they are too frequent. It is especially useful for growing children with these infirmities, and it can be used in a 30th or a 200th potency, and sometimes even a 1M, but we're not going to talk about that today. And so I personally take the medicine, and I write in my own Materia Medica that I've taken it in a 200th potency, and sometimes I take it about every 3 days. Now, I say sometimes because there are times in my life when my allergies don't bother me in the least. But when I know that the pollen is going to really start affecting me in Florida, it seems not to be a problem up north, but certainly or it used to be. Then I took care of that. Now I'm still working a little bit on the pollen issue, or the hay fever issue here in Southeast Florida. And I do need calcarb. And so what I take is calcarea carbonica 200C, and I usually take it every 3 days. And that I take for a while. And then, if in addition to that, my eyes still water, they still itch, then I will take another medicine. And there are a number of medicines that I've used that I have found to be quite efficacious. So I want to see, I'm going to read what everyone else is doing here. I want to see what you folks are all using, because it's inspirational when I see how you come up with these and what you have come up with for yourselves. So I'm going back. I'm going to go flip back up to the top, and everyone's saying hello there. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Hello. And people start talking about rhinology for my daughter. Now, rhinology, let me just take a sip of water for a moment. Rhinology is spelled Rhine, allergy, all one word. And it works for her daughter, Melissa says. I believe rhinology was the name that was used before Allergy Calm came around. Allergy Calm, and this is happens to be by Boron. Other companies manufacture too these kinds of products as well, and I think that these pharmacies, such as OHM Pharma, Washington Homeopathics, Hahnemann Pharmacy, Boron, Helios, these are the companies that I trust. It doesn't mean I don't trust any others, but these are the ones that I've been using for quite a long time, and I have a lot of regard for them. I've met most of the pharmacists in the manufacturing of these products, and I like them. I like them. Okay, let's just see. Nat Muir says Carrie, or is it Carrie? A Natmir 200 instead of 6X gave relief for clear, drippy nose from hay fever. You bet. Natmir is a very good medicine. I normally use it in a 6 or a 3, but 200 can also be useful. Thank you very much. Allium cepa uprooted my seasonal allergies 4 years ago, says Francine. Isn't that interesting? 4 years ago, she took Allium cepa. My guess is she didn't take just one dose, but perhaps sometimes it does work that way. And now she hasn't had them for 4 years. Has the weather changed? What's changed? She took Allium cepa. Allium, Allium cepa. Probably used it in a 30, I'm going to guess, Francine. And then Amanda from Kentucky says Ambrosia 30 for intensely itchy eyelids. Oh my gosh. I have found ambrosia to be very useful for me. Carla says euphrasia. She's from Plymouth, Wisconsin, and I've also used euphrasia, and I find that also very, very helpful. I've had great success with Allergena for Texas and Oklahoma. Now, Allergena is a product where they get the actual hay fever substances, the pollen from the region, from your region, and then they make them into homeopathic medicine. And I know a lot of people have been helped greatly by that. I have my daughter taking Bovista, says Tara. Yes, Bovista, excellent also. And I teach a lot about Bovista in my allergic course. Sabadilla 30 for itchy nose and sneezing fits, says Christine Martin. You bet, Christine. All right, let's see what else we've got here. Food allergies. Well, we're not going to talk about food allergies today. It's a little bit different. We're going to go with hay fever today. We have talked about it. Natmir, minor allergies and sneezing. Younger daughter has type 1 diabetes. She always seems sick and tired. Would calcarb be something I should research? Well, it's certainly something I would read up on. There is no doubt about it. And I talk about diabetes in my pretty extensively in my course titled Good Gut, Bad Gut. You might want to check that out if you want to go that deep. All right. Dulcamara has helped me, although I live in the damp Northwest, and it seems to remove dampness as well. You know, Dulcamara is great for that, but also I like Nat Sulf. 6X for mold allergies, especially. Now, if somebody has mold allergies and pollen allergies and dog fur allergies, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, we're not going to add all of these medicines all together. We're going to choose one medicine that's going to cover it all. And I believe that calcarb is potentially one of those. Allium cepa and rhinology are now called allergy calm. Yes, that's right. Amazing for pollen type allergies. So I will tell you what's in this allergy calm by boron. It is euphrasia 5C, allium cepa 5C, ambrosia 5C, and histaminium 9C. So what I like about this is that if someone take these kinds of combination medicines, that I just happen to have this one in front of me, but if you take it and it acts, then you look at the ingredients and then look up each one of those ingredients, those homeopathic medicines, to determine whether or not it's possible that you could fine tune it even further and determine which medicine is best chosen for you. Okay. I have terrible MCS, multiple chemical sensitivities, and have been taking calcarb on and off for a couple of months, and it is working. You bet, Tracy. Side benefit, it has lowered my blood pressure. Absolutely. Probably because my histamine adrenal reactions are less. You bet. That's the way, that's the magic of homeopathy. You use it for this, and inadvertently, it takes care of all the other satellite conditions. Anna says Napmure. Anna also says allium cepa. Yeah, no problem going to Canada now these days, my friends. Euphrasia officinalis 6. Yes. Yep. Euphrasia is excellent. Could you put the calcarb every day if the symptom? Could you put the calcarb every day if the symptoms are bad enough? Oh, could you take it? I think, is that what you mean? I would not do that. I wouldn't do that without absolutely having very good rationale. I not that I would never do it, but I would say that you want a really strong rationale for that. I've had my son taking Rhinology, but it only helps if his symptoms aren't severe. I've also given him allium cepa and recently calcarb every other day. I welcome any other ideas. These are your ideas, Laura. Looks like you're moving in the right direction with this group. My husband has been having great success with Allergy Calm. This is the first season using homeopathy. Welcome. Welcome, Stephanie. Allergy Calm, says Kristen. I've taken it every day. My homeopath prescribed 30C. Yes, allium cepa works great for the runny nose, watery, and itchy eyes. Histaminium, says Tammy. See, this is good. These I'm looking at my mighties. Let's just see one more thing though, because I see. Well, actually, MCAS was for multiple chemical sensitivity. Yep, that's what I did. I not say that, but I do have made cell syndrome too, and that is improving. Everything's going to improve pretty much. That's the way homeopathy works. Because we didn't realize, my friends, that while we were taking these synthetic drugs of commerce, that it would take care of one symptom and then it would add on a new symptom. And we were always thinking, well, of course I got another symptom. I never thinking it had anything to do with the side effects because it didn't show up immediately or it wasn't listed on the package. But we start getting sicker and sicker and sicker, and then we take another drug for those set of symptoms, and then we get sicker and sicker. And sometimes it's just very low level illness. Sometimes all it is I just don't have that get up and go. Or, I'm just a little itchier than I ought to be. Or I just, I'm putting on weight too readily. Those little things that then, if we go to a practitioner, the practitioner might say, well, you're no spring chicken. What do you expect? You're going to live on and on forever? But if you replace, yes, replace that synthetic drug of commerce that our bodies were never intended to be able to process. There were no synthetic drugs 80 years ago, 100 years ago. All of a sudden, everybody thinks they're supposed to be taking synthetic drugs. I do everything I can, my friends, to stay away from them. And the only time, I'm going to tell you honestly, the only time I take synthetic drugs is when I've had to have surgery. And I mean, really had to have surgery. I had an ectopic pregnancy once. And yes, indeed, there's no homeopathic medicine for that. Galphimia, you bet. Galphimia is another good one. Allergena, someone said that before. Calisulfa, says someone else. Galphimia, I was going to try Galphimia for my son. He's been sneezing and rubbing his itchy nose. Cat allergy and large plantar warts on the bottom of the heel. All right, Nux vomica for stuffy nose with clear, runny nose is helpful too. Allergy calm. You're doing beautifully. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Very nice. Let's see what we've got with all of our friends on Facebook Live. What besides calcarb do you recommend for mold allergy? Well, I just said that one. Thank you, Joette. Used to have lots of skin allergies. In 1984, started using homeopathy, and now I have no allergies at all. That was given to us by Caro. Caro Mott. Nice job. Yes, we often see that these conditions were really just needed to have a nice little gentle touch from our homeopathic medicines. Let's just see. Allergies can turn into asthma, hard to breathe. With the calcarb help with that, it's a different story once it gets to asthma. Um, it's it's I have written about asthma. Check it out on my blog, my friend. Okay. Let's see what else we've got here. Mighty's has list connection. Are you having trouble on Mighty's? I just reload, friends who are on Mighty's. I give my brother's Allium Cephas for stuffed nose from allergies, and it was the wrong choice as it gave him really watery and itching eyelids. We gave him a few doses of ambrosia, and it solved the whole problem. You bet. So people say, is that unusual? No. What happens is when we use the wrong medicine, sometimes it can cause the condition for which we were trying to release ourselves of. So it just means it's the wrong medicine. No big problem. We simply use the right medicine. Okay? Yeah, he needs euphrasia. Absolutely, said someone. Okay. Very nice. He probably needs euphrasia, said someone. And how are we doing on time? It looks like we are wrapping it up. Let me just see. Could you put the calcarb every day? That question was asked. I answered it. And as I said, Bovista is a very good medicine as well. I used to have asthma. I had allergies that were so severe, my friends, that I had about 7 foods that I could eat. Not that I couldn't eat, that I could eat. I had asthma every single day as the sun set for years. I had allergies as a child, very, very young. Then they dissipated a little bit and went into gut problems. Then later on, allergies came back again. And they have been cured in spite of all of those allergy shots that I submitted to earlier in my life, in my 20s, when I was a young girl, and also again in my 20s, I submitted to them. No. They made me worse. And that's not uncommon. And what happens is it builds up and builds up. And now you're going, instead of once a month, you're going twice a month. And instead of twice a month, now we're going once a week. And now we become tethered to drugs and methods. All righty, my friends. I think we've got to the end of our evening. I'll see you next week. God bless you all. Stay curious and be ungovernable. Bye.